educating bubblers bells.
I have seen nothing like this in my entire life.
You know what? I'm actually shooketh to the core.
So Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are wrongfully targeting our older generation and treating them as cash cows to fund their 50 billion black hole that they've created.
Do your cow noise.
A ruthless couple splashed cash on private jets and mansions after scamming over 3,500 pensioners out of £28 million in a massive timeshare fraud.
So I've just come out of a dentist that has cost me £73.47.
Did you know the top 10% of earners in the UK pay a little over 60% of all income tax collected in this country?
I've just gone to the co-op and my mum said, can you grab some milk? So I've gone and got her a bottle of milk, and then I saw some blueberries reduced because they go out of date today. So I was like, Chilling, I'll get the little one some blueberries. And then I also got some black pudding because we're having a fry up for tea. Why has it just cost me £8.50 for 3 items? Blueberries, milk and black pudding has just cost me £8.50. That's a tenner. And the blueberries were reduced. It's a fucking joke. Honestly, I looked at the screen thinking, that should be £3. What the fuck are you on about? What the fuck? So it's the school holidays, and as a mum, as a parent, I am scared to step out my front door because it just costs money just to leave my house now. It's getting frightening. Frightening.
Hey guys, just thought I'd do a short video today. Something I was recently hit with, kind of by accident. Penalty charge notices. Now, my wife's a nurse, and in picking her up from work, occasionally I'd be delayed, and there was a place where I could have a waiting period. And I'd pick her up from her shift, you know, working in the operating theatres, and occasionally she'd be late, so I'd be delayed whilst waiting for her. And I got hit with two parking charge notices, £30 each if I paid them quickly. So I tried to appeal them and they got turned down flat. I tried a little sneaky way, having a word with the press office of the company in question, and I managed to convince them that it would be in their interest to drop the parking charges, and in the end I just paid what it would have cost me to park, which I felt was fair enough. Now, those charges came to £3 each. The charges were £30 each, 10 times the cost to charge. If I didn't pay them promptly, it went up to £60 each, 20 times the cost to charge.
Welcome to Blighty Blighted, where we give the powers that be a piece of our minds. Right. You know what really gets me about Britain in 2025? The crazy hidden rip-offs. It's gotten so bad you can literally see the crazy in their eyes now, right? Everywhere you look, someone's got their hand in your pocket, and not even buying you dinner first. There's a new tax for everything. Breathing, blinking, probably smiling next. Then you find out half of it's going to fund some consultant who's never done a day's real work in their life. And don't get me started on the pension lot. They're reallocating funds, which is politician speak for pinching it and hoping you won't notice.
1.019 billion surplus from parking operations. After tallying up to 2 billion in income and spending 989 million on running costs, so they made £1 billion in profit. Legalised theft in broad daylight. And it's not slowing down. 2024 to 2025 forecast to yield an even heftier 1.12 billion surplus. On a daily basis, UK councils issued an average of 19,631 parking fines in 2022 alone, draining drivers of nearly £777,287 every single day. A daily extortion effort that adds up to a mind-numbing 284 million per year. Regionally, Manchester City Council alone took home over 14.6 million in 2024 from issuing a staggering 460,000 PCNs. London boroughs like Waltham, Forest, Ealing, Barking and Dagenham and Enfield each made between 4 and 6 million from PCNs. In Scotland, councils generated 108.9 million in total parking revenue in a year, of which 47 million was pure profit. Edinburgh contributed 28.6 million of that. Stop pretending this is about road safety. They say it's about traffic flow, safety compliance. But if that were the case, why the daily blitz of almost 20,000 fines? And why signs that fade, markings that confuse, grace periods that evaporate at a glance? This is a business. A boomer coal boasting merchants deployed to capitalise on motorists. Councils have turned PCNs into dependable revenue streams, padding budgets under the guise of public service. And when you don't pay, brace yourself. The councils are now unleashing bailiffs and enforcement agents. In 2023-24, 4 million PCNs were referred to enforcement agencies, a number that's soared since the pandemic. These aren't just acts of justice, they're car seizure threats, intended to make you cough up fast. The disproportionate joke of fine hikes. There were whispers of parking fines rising by 75%, potentially taking penalties from £70 to £120, higher than shoplifting fines and utterly grotesque for a traffic blunder. Enough. It's time to call it what it is. 1. Revenue, not reason. Councils profit more from parking than they reinvest. 2. Psychological warfare. Late payment equals higher bill. 3. Appeals are a token, not a solution. 4. Enforcement edge. Bailiff threats and seizing cars. This isn't deterrence, it's bullying. Worse than the TV licence people. When you see a PCN, don't grit your teeth and pay. See it as a wake-up call, a symptom of a system rigged against everyday drivers, disguised as governance. Want a further drop of vitriol? I can fuel this post with more real-world anecdotes, local authority earnings breakdowns, or even a tap-in appeal template for readers to actually fight back. Let me know, because this fight must begin with awareness. I'm not going to name this company, but Trustpilot has got scathing reviews of this particular parking company. I got charged a full payment of £7 this morning. Difficult to contact X company to get a refund. Stuck at barrier for 45 minutes as it didn't read my number plate. My charger cable is currently stuck in a port in Fairfield Road car park. Still waiting for someone to come back to us. No readily available customer service. Attempted to charge me twice now for dropping someone off within their grace period. Used one of your car parks. I've been trying to contact customer services with no response or reply. Guys, appeal. Look for loopholes. These people don't always comply. There's lots of ways of researching it. Always fight, guys. You don't have to pay these extortionate fees. Check your facts. Check your facts. Check what they're obliged to charge you and what they're not. Maybe you can offer to pay a fair amount, but don't just roll over. That's it. Have a great day and be vigilant for the parking scammers.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Mr. Bowden. My name's Owen. I'm calling from the HMRC. Is everything groovalicious for you today?
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't care. I'm ringing as it looks like you've sold an old jumper on Depop for £4.38 just now. Is that correct, Amundo?
Yeah.
Right, and were you going to tell us about that, or...?
Do I need to?
Let me just check my computer here. It says yes you do, you little fanny.
What?
And I couldn't help but notice that when you went to visit your grandma last Tuesday, she put a £5 note in your hand as you were leaving. Is that correct, Amundo?
Yeah. Wait, how do you know she...
And you didn't think to tell us about that either?
No, why would I? It's £5 off my grandma.
I understand that, sir, but we will be claiming tax on that £5, and if she does do it again without informing us, she may be liable for us giving her a knuckle sandwich, okay?
You're gonna punch my grandma?
No, of course not. Because she won't do it again, will she? And if it's anything over a fiver, she'll be getting elbow dropped through that coffee table of hers, alright?
What is going on?
It also says here you babysat for your friend Dean last week. Is that correct, Amundo?
Yes, it's correct, Amundo, but he paid me in spaghetti bolognese. How is that?
Right, well, you owe us 20% of that spag bowl, you little gimp.
Alright, bloody hell, I'll post it tomorrow.
And are you going to make sure he tells about anything extra you make from now on?
Yes, of course.
Right. Perfect.
Shouldn't you be going after millionaire tax dodgers? People using loopholes and that?
Well, maybe I'm going to do that right after I'm done talking to you.
Right.
And just out of curiosity, does his son still have that paper around?
Yeah.
We'll put that little prick on the phone.
£740 for car insurance is absolutely mental. If you're going to do like that, at least buy me dinner first. The UK right now for car insurance is absolutely mental. In America, you'll see like 16-year-olds with M4s, and they pay a few £100 for insurance. And it's so much easier to get insured in cars over there compared to the UK. Like, I have an MX-5 and I've got 2 years no claims, nothing wrong with my licence, live in a relatively safe area and all that sort of stuff, and yet £740 for car insurance. I think it's absolutely insane. Now, yes, compared to other people, £740 isn't that much money for car insurance. I know some people who are paying like £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 for car insurance on like a Fiesta, right? So in the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. But then you've got Dorothy in like her M4 competition. She's like 70 and is paying like £100 a year for car insurance. Like, make it make sense. And she's probably had something like 6 or 7 points in her license as well the whole time, and like 7 crashes. I just don't think it should be this much for young drivers, especially as most of the time younger drivers are actually better than most of the other drivers on the road. Yes, they haven't got the same experience, but this experience leads to people actually just having bad habits and not actually being very good drivers. Let me know in the comments if you agree and drop a follow for more.
So taxes are going to go up. That's come from Rachel Reeves saying tax rise ahead of the budget. Okay. And this was after Starmer pledged so many millions to Palestine. So basically, he pledges all this money, and then a day later, Reeves turns around and says, "You're paying for that. We're taking this money from you. There's nothing you can do about it." Tough shit. Yeah. But on the other side, they're reducing costs on bills. Great, yay! But that doesn't mean anything, because it's going to be balanced out by the tax that's gone up. It's just ridiculous. I'm so tired of it all, and so stressed out by it all. It's been a very stressful week.
Fake car insurance. Be careful with this insurance scam. In fact, this fake car insurance scam has risen 30% since 2019. And what this can mean is that someone has paid money for insurance, but they're not actually insured. And this could be very costly, with the average victim losing over £2,000. It could put you at risk of firstly having to pay a lot more money if you do have a crash, because you might have to pay it from your own bank account. People could even face criminal charges. Sky News even reported that there was one man that received documents that were so convincing that when the police pulled him over, he showed them the documents and then the police let him go, even though the documents were fake. Sometimes these companies are pretending to be famous companies, like Aviva in the case of that Sky News article. So just be super, super careful.
For all the dentist to do was put a little scalpel thing in my mouth, tap around my teeth, tell me which ones she was keeping an eye on, and advise me to go to a hygienist, which, by the way, would also cost me about 70 quid. I was in the chair less than 60 seconds. It took me longer to fill in the health questionnaire than it did for her to have me in the seat, check my teeth and tell me it was okay. Whatever happened to the dentist giving you a little bit of a scale and polish when you first got in the chair? Like, what is going on when you're in the seat less than 60 seconds and it costs you over £70? I am totally in the wrong job. I don't know what's going on with the dentists in this country, if they can get away with charging you over 70. What is that per hour? Quick math, someone.
Okay, the filter isn't looking good on me. I have long suspected lip filler would not look good on me, and now we know. Anyway, that's not what this TikTok is about. I was wondering today, who invented bras and what is the point? So I Googled it, and it was invented in 1914 to do away with corsets. Corsets are not fashion anymore. So why are we still doing this? Why are we still wearing this uncomfortable thing every day? I hate them. The older I get, the more I hate them. I can't be alone in that. So this is 100-year-old corset replacement. Why?
So just thought I'd ask you something. So we all know that we all live in rip-off Britain. But the thing that's really doing my head in at the moment, and I'm sure some of you may agree, is the price that you go to when you go to your supermarket. Whichever supermarket you go to, the prices are just getting ridiculous. Now, your average normal shop, you know, £100 plus these days, and what are you getting for it? Virtually nothing. So, as I say, if you agree with me, just put it on the comments that you agree, and let's do something about it, because it's about time we did. Because we just sit there and we just go, yeah, okay, when the taxes go up and everything else goes up. But when they start messing with your food, that's when it starts to be getting serious, isn't it? Let me know what you think.
So first it was the winter fuel, then it was farm tax, and now they're looking at ways to increase taxes on what you've saved and on your home. It's widely reported they're looking at ways that including pensions into your inheritable assets, putting a lifetime cap on how much you can pass to your loved ones without incurring tax. Massive council tax rises are expected. And low betide me if you bought a home a long time ago and it's now worth a few bob, because they're looking at annual levies on homes that they consider to be higher value. Now, they're penalising prudence here. They're penalising people that have worked hard and saved. And if you reduce the incentives to work hard and save, you will only make people more reliant on the state. But that's Labour for you.
Let that sink in for a second. Everybody talks about let's tax the rich, let's tax the high earners. They are already carrying their weight. You've got to think, you don't want to put these people off too much that they don't want to live and work in this country, because then the tax goes with them. Okay, they are already footing 60% of the bill, and that is just the top 10%, meaning 90% of the working population are only contributing the remaining 40%. And I looked at a stat and it said the top 1% does around 29% of that. So the top 1% is already doing half of that. I know it's easy to say if you're, say, an average earner on the average salary of, say, 35k or even less, your minimum wage, 22, 23, 24k, to say tax the rich, tax the high earners. 100k, 150k is particularly well off, but it's not rich. It's not rich. Like, rich for me is someone wealthy with assets and that sort of thing. Being a high earner and being a rich are not the same thing. The people we should be targeting are the organisations, the people like the energy companies that have been putting our bills up for years and are making record profits. They're the people that we should be taxing higher. You shouldn't be penalised for doing well in this country. You should be not necessarily rewarded, but you shouldn't be unfairly penalised. And that is what a lot of people are proposing. And I don't buy it.
Posing as helpers for people desperate to sell timeshares, Mark and Nicola Rowe flew elderly victims to convincing fake offices in Tenerife, where they endured 6-hour high-pressure sales pitches. They used victims' cash on slick marketing, posh office fronts, and even hired Hollyoaks and Emmerdale actress Julie Peasgood, who had no idea of the scam, to appear credible. Victims were promised their investments would double in just 14 months, but instead lost their life savings and pensions. The Rowes blew the money on a £2 million mansion, £31,500 artwork, £110,000 in private school fees, and hid £8 million in profits across 54 bank accounts. After a 6-year probe, the last members of their 14-person gang faced jail. Mark Rowe has already been sentenced to 7.5 years for conspiracy to defraud, and his wife awaits sentencing for money laundering. The judge called him a corrupting influence who left a trail of misery. The elaborate scheme, which started in 2013, is believed to be one of the biggest of its time ever.
Just having myself a little break from this maintenance, and I've just seen that Rachel Reeves apparently is going to thrash the VAT threshold from 90k, which is presently set at, which is alright then. If you're a sole trader, whatever, side hustle or whatever you're doing, you can choose to go VAT registered if you want to, and she's going to slash it to 30k. Now, I remember when I was a sole trader, that would hit me really hard, having to suddenly charge VAT to clients. And of course, if you're just doing things like Etsy, you've got a little shop or a little side hustle, it's going to be even worse because, you know, it's fairly easy to reach a 30k turnover. What do you think about that? I don't normally talk about things political on this page. Maybe I should more because there's a lot of stuff that's annoying me lately with what the government's doing. What else do you not agree with what the government's doing lately? Let me know in the comments. I mean, I was upset enough when they decided to tax directors' dividends at 7.5%. Again, another stealth tax. What is going on in this country, eh? But don't get me wrong, obviously being VAT registered for some businesses has massive advantages. Perhaps I wish I went VAT registered a little bit before I did. But you know what I mean. It's things like when you've got a pickup truck, dual cab, and then suddenly they decide that for tax reasons it is now classed as a company car. I mean, what's going on? There was no warning of that. I did have a look at a Ranger at a car event I went to, then I suddenly remembered it was a car, so you couldn't use it for business purposes. So that's another stealth tax they brought in. What do you guys reckon? Let me know what's annoying you lately in the UK.
Nothing at all, baby. It's in the Chronicle today, which is Newcastle's paper, saying HMRC ought to introduce grass up family members tax reward scheme in the UK. HMRC want you to grass up your friends and family if you think they are not paying enough tax. How ridiculous is that, baby? Could you imagine just one afternoon ringing up HMRC? Hello? Wallace isn't paying enough PAYE. Since I've told you that, will that mean that I get some money off my tax, baby? I mean, I know the country's trying to rebuild after the last 15 years where it's been chaotic. But instead of putting family members against family members, why doesn't the government just tax these huge multinational companies properly? Isn't that the best thing to do, baby? Cheers!
I don't really understand how the UK has gotten away with this for as long as it has. This is like the first country I've ever seen that has a different minimum wage depending on your age. It's crazy. I remember when I moved here, it was like you had to be 26 or something to have the minimum. And I was 22 when I moved here. And I just remember I started working in a restaurant when I'd moved over, and the vast majority of the floor staff were all 16-year-olds who were finishing their college and going to A-levels. And that's crazy. How the heck did they convince people this was normal? For doing the same amount of work, you're going to pay kids less. It's like, you know, there's child labor laws to protect children, and then they go around and they sort this out. It's crazy to me. I just cannot wrap my head around it. So if anyone has an explanation, I am all ears. Because I just think it's great now that it's going down to 21, but honestly, there should be no minimum age for the minimum living wage, because you don't know people's circumstances. That's just crazy.
How long is recovery for a boob job? 3 to 6 months? Correct. Ah! No way, I actually got that right. Yes, come on. Can you breastfeed after a boob job? I'm pretty sure you can unless you go under the muscle.
You can breastfeed after implants either under the muscle or over. Usually with a breast reduction or mastopexy, that's where tissue is removed, it can impact breastfeeding. But with breast augmentation, the milk ducts are usually left intact.
There you go.
Where are breast implants usually placed? Under or over the muscle?
Under.
It varies from patient to patient depending on how much breast tissue they have. It's usually discussed at the consultation. So a lot of the time it's over the muscle, but sometimes it's better for the individual patient under the muscle.
Right, more serious stuff. Let's just have a wander around until we see stuff that we recognise, because there is a lot to get through. Look at the paint on that.
Yeah, I spotted that from a mile away. What's happened there?
That is a rattle can. Look at the sanding marks.
So what is it?
That's, you can just tell just by like the patchy hazy wet they've done it with a rattle can.
You have to go out of your way to do such a bad job.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it that bad, again, you wouldn't be able to. Oh, they've done the rear door as well, because it goes from gloss to satin.
This quarter panel runs out satin into gloss with a nice run.
That's It's an 18 plate as well.
It's wrong, isn't it?
How's that happened to a 7-year-old car?
Some people shouldn't own cars.
Well, I'll tell you what I have got in here is a Range Rover Sport that could potentially go for like £1,000.
There is a Discovery here as well, Discovery 3.
Yeah, a bit
Same
more
year?
expensive, but this one's slab, so the air suspension.
It's got a leak, obviously.
Yeah, but it might stay up when it's running.
How small are these things?
New what?
Compared to the new one?
Oh, yeah.
It's got a brand new, freshly, genuine refurbished tow bar on it.
I think that's a 320D.
It could make a car with a bit of prep, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Headlights
I like the wheels because they're like the professional whatever wheels they are. Coral red interior. It's auto.
Not too much red either. When they do the lower half of the dashboard and the door cards, it's too much. But
this is the Audi A1. Let me run you through some stats and figures on this. It's from carsupermarket.com. It's 183,000 miles. It's got a cat clean of about 1,100 quid. But it does say it's got a red X for engine running okay, coolant fluid level, clutch, and it's also missing its SD card, tragically. So it's got a slipping clutch probably. Gone.
You save all your life, and they treat it like a buffet. Even the car auctions are dodgy. Shiny motors that turn out to have more mystery than a Netflix drama. You buy a bargain, and the engine falls out before you get home. Everywhere you turn, there's a scam dressed up as policy, a con sold as progress, and a rip-off wrapped in the Union Jack. Honestly, it's getting to the point where if someone in a suit says, "Trust me," I start checking my wallet's still there. It's all changed now. We have lost our high-trust society and decency. Blighty's become a playground for chances, and the joke's on us. I will see you on the next video. Cheerio.